Everyone, so today we're going to be talking about binge eating, and this is something that I feel really strongly about and that I really do want to talk to you about because it's something that I have struggled with loads and loads of times, and it's something that I'm still definitely working on getting to grips with. So please don't think that I've got it all sorted and that I've got all the answers for you. I don't. I'm just sharing with you my personal experience and what I've found with binge eating. So what is binge eating? Binge eating is eating a large amount of food in a relatively short space of time, and food that you're not eating because you're hungry or because you kind of want it to nourish you. You're just eating it for the sake of eating, and it's kind of a way of eating to kind of stuff your emotions. Now, I'm somebody who I do get quite anxious and I do get quite stressed. I'm quite good at kind of managing my stress myself. But I don't really drink, I don't smoke, I don't use recreational drugs, which is something that I find fascinating about people in general today. I feel like literally so many people smoke weed. Like, more people do than don't. And then I wonder if that is like a coping mechanism for some people, but it's not something that I have an interest in doing. So anyway, off topic there. But yeah, I don't do anything like that. So stress relief for me is a little bit hard to kind of manage. And for a long time, my go-to stress relief was eating. And binge eating, I think as well, tends to be more so with foods that are kind of easy to eat. So things like snacks, they come in a packet, you've got a big packet, like a sharing packet of crisps, and you eat it all in one go. The same as like, you know, binge drinking. I think it comes easier to do it with foods like that, whereas you're not going to binge eat on like a whole lasagna necessarily, because you would feel so sick and disgusting if you did that. But you can binge eat on a whole packet of crisps and it doesn't really even like fill you up, so it's a lot easier. And what we all have to remind ourselves is that binge eating comes from a place of emotional. You're not eating because you're hungry or because you just fancy a bit of that, because if you just fancied a bit of that bar of chocolate, you would just have a bit, you wouldn't eat the whole packet. Now, there is a difference between binge eating and mindless eating. Mindless eating can be if you've opened a packet of Maltesers and you're watching TV and you're just kind of eating it. You're not eating it to stuff your feelings because something's wrong. You're eating it just because it's there and it's nice, and like I said, it doesn't fill you up. That's slightly different. Binge eating in itself is when you are eating for this specific reason of kind of stuffing your feelings away. And you're eating because you've had a bad day, you're a bit stressed, you're a bit tired, you feel like you just need a treat. That's how binge eating happens. I, like I said, could binge eat on snacks, on chocolate, on loads of things. And to be honest, even when dieting, there's a form of kind of binge eating that comes if you have a treat day, because you think, oh, I'm allowed to eat this now, I'm going to eat that whole packet of crisps. Well, maybe you didn't even want that whole packet of crisps, you just wanted a little bit. It is tough. My go-to tip for not binge eating is a simple one. It's not having stuff in the house for you to binge eat. That's my go-to tip. So I don't have anything in the house that I would want to binge eat from. So you're not going to binge eat with fruit, are you? Like, it's not the same. It's not enjoyable in that same sort of way. But you will binge eat with things that are high in fat, high in salt, high in sugar, carby kind of things. They're the things that are more tempting to binge with. And I don't have stuff in the house that will cause me to binge eat, because if it's there, the temptation is just too much for me. Now, if I am, let's say, having sort of a treat day or something like that, I'll try and just buy a tiny bit of something. So like a small packet of crisps and a small chocolate bar and that kind of thing, so that I can have a little bit of something, but it's not a ridiculous amount. And I've had to say to myself that even now when I'm in the process of losing weight, it's different, but that even once I've lost weight, I don't need to eat crisps every single day. I don't need to eat them every single day. I don't need to eat like a snack with my sandwich every single day. It's not something that's always necessary, but it's like a thought pattern that you get into your head and you just sort of end up doing. And it's a really detrimental thing because you lose control around food, and I think it's not good to be too controlled around food, but it's also not good to kind of have no control whatsoever, especially for somebody that does kind of gain weight quite easily. And I've seen a lot of kind of tips and things that people will say when it comes to weight loss and different things that they do, and things to make you not binge. And I think it kind of, it's a very complicated thing to unravel. A lot of people are kind of into that whole intuitive eating thing, which works really well for a lot of us, not so well for some of us. You have to kind of judge it for yourself, but it's something that we have to kind of consciously work on all the time to stay on top of. But I definitely think that, like I said, it's harder when you're living with somebody else and they have treats. What I've started doing, because Paul likes treats, he eats whatever he wants, he eats a lot of food, and he likes a lot of treats as well, is I'll try and buy him treats that I don't like. So I won't buy him things that I know that I really like, that I might be tempted. I'll buy things that he likes, that he still does really like. Luckily in our house, I tend to do most of the food shopping, so he doesn't pick stuff. I'll just pick stuff, which is a lot easier. So if you can't do that, maybe try and sort of explain to whoever you're living with, whether it's your parents or somebody like that, like, you know, can we not have it just sort of lying around everywhere and stuff, because it's just a bit tempting for me and I struggle with it a bit. Can we kind of like cut back on it? And let's face it, all of us should be cutting back on the amount of like snacks and treats and things that we're eating. I look at it sometimes now and it really shocks me. Like, you go into a shop like Home Bargains or somewhere and it's just aisle after aisle as you go in of crisps and chocolate and biscuits and snacks and food that's delicious but that's not very nutritious, and that enjoyed in moderation is perfectly fine and it makes you happy, but it's made in a way where the packets are put together in a way where you don't just have one, you want to have more and more and more, and it's very hard to kind of stop. And I think, generally speaking, as a nation, we all eat too much of that kind of stuff, and it's not good. It's not food that's kind of gonna feed your body, and it's not food that is gonna kind of make you feel good and make you feel full. It's just gonna make you feel like you want more. And there's a time and a place for all of those things, and no way am I like never eating crisps again or never eating chocolate again or anything. Like, I'm just not gonna do that. But I try and make kind of smarter choices. So for example, if I was gonna have chocolate, I'll try and have dark chocolate because I find it a little bit more satisfying, and just try and kind of do it like that. I am working towards, I think, once I reach my goal weight, trying to eat a cleaner. And I say cleaner like that because I don't want it to become like an obsessive, compulsive kind of weird situation where I really sort of can only eat that. But I want to kind of just re-examine the things that I was eating, and I think not eating carbs has meant I've eaten so much fruit and veg, and it's made me realise that I don't actually really miss carbs, and I don't really kind of need a lot of the stuff that I was eating, that I'm really happy with fruit and veg, and it makes me feel nice when I've eaten it, and it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel less bloated. And I love that I've managed to eat, you know, like 6 portions of vegetables in one meal kind of thing. And so looking at it from that kind of perspective, it's made it a little bit easier for me. But the best tip I can give you for not binge eating is not to have things that you will binge eat around. You don't tend to like binge eat when you go out to dinner, do you? You'll eat your main and that's kind of it. It's when you're at home and you're sat on the couch and you're just eating mindlessly that binge eating can kind of creep up, and then you think, oh, I feel a bit sad today, let me just eat that bar of chocolate, and before you know it, you've eaten all of it, and then you feel a bit ugh, and then you feel guilty, and then it's a vicious cycle. So that's my take on binge eating. It's a simplified kind of take, but it's the take that I truly do believe. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got any more requests for kind of honest diet chat, then let me know and I will happily oblige, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.